Hi friends, today we are continuing with our famous artist lessons, and today's famous artist is Romero Britto. This is his piece right here. He does these beautiful paintings and really fun sculptures using pop culture. So this one is going to be a drawing of Mickey Mouse, and we're going to use different materials today to create the patterns in the background. So you're going to need a paper. And this paper, I actually have it in a square format. So two options: you can either draw a square on your rectangular paper, or if you like, you can cut it out later on. So we have a square composition. We're going to be using a ruler, so you can use a ruler or a straight edge to be creating these straight lines to split up the background. And then we're going to be using different circular shaped things you can find around the house. So a lot of times artists will use a stencil, which looks something like this. So stencils are great because they have the exact perfect circles that you need and different sizes, but a lot of you might not have that on hand. So what you can use is just different items you find around the house. This is a little jar I have. I can use the top edge to get a smaller circle. I can use the bottom edge to get a slightly bigger one. And then I also grabbed just, see, this is just like a top to my water bottle. So I have a small size, a medium size, and a larger one. This is actually the top of a cookie jar, but this is going to be great to use for Mickey's face. But you can also use any pots, cups, glasses, bowls are great for the bigger ones. So I'll give you a couple minutes to get that. So those are going to be useful for creating our circles. Now you can always freehand if you want, but it's nice to see the different types of tools that artists can use and see if you like to use that tool or not. And then we're going to be using a black pen. So if you have, I have a black Sharpie here. I like this thick black Sharpie. And then I have all sorts of colors for markers. So a rainbow palette of colors. So like always, we're going to start out with our line drawing. So just go ahead and grab your black Sharpie. And we are going to start by using, oh, you know what, actually, since I don't want to get Sharpie on my cookie jar lid, I'm going to start with a pencil. So grab a pencil if you'd like, and we're going to start with our big circle in the bottom left corner. So I want you to look at this negative space, this triangle right here. Try to find that and match it on your paper. And then you can go ahead and, using your pencil, what you want to do is you want to hold your pot or your bowl in place with your non-dominant hand, so you can use your dominant hand to draw. And you're just going to find your way around the edge of your stencil. And then when you lift it, you should have a circle. So it should be a large circle in the bottom left corner of your paper. And so that's for Mickey Mouse's head. And then I'm going to use, let's see, this is a good size, the medium one for the side of his ear. And as you can see, the circle is going to go off of the side of the paper, and that's fine. So you actually want it to be a little bit lower than halfway. So just go ahead and line up your medium-sized stencil, your circle stencil, and then you can go ahead and find the area where his ear is going to attach on the left. And his ear on the right is almost the same size. It's a little bit smaller, so if you wanted to use your smaller circle, then you can, your smaller stencil. So this is going to be kind of at a diagonal downward, and then you can go ahead and find the curve line for his ear. So when we know that Mickey Mouse's head doesn't end with this sharp edge, right? But we do want to create this composition, so when part of the face or the head or anything in any sort of drawing or painting gets cut off, that's called cropped. So some of you that like to do photography, you will crop out an image, you'll be looking at just a certain section. So that's an art term for you. So we have this big circle, medium, and smaller for his ears. And now we can go in and start to create his face. So right here he has this this line. So I want you to look at the space from the top middle of his head, hop down, put a little planning dot. And then I want you to also find from the left side of your paper, hopping over to the right, put another planning dot. So that's that little sharp angle we have where his cheek starts to come out. And then if you want to grab your ruler or your straight edge, you can see that this is from that planning dot, it's at a pretty sharp diagonal. So a diagonal line is going from the top left to the bottom right in this case. So I want you to line up your planning dot with the edge of your ruler, find a nice diagonal, and then you can put another planning dot for the other side of the face where the cheek is. So always looking for that negative space. So next we are going to go ahead and connect those dots. So I always like to plan where I'm going beforehand. So go ahead and starting at this planning dot, you're going to do a curve, curving up. And then it's going to come in. Let's see, mine's going to move over a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's better. So starting at your first planning dot, curving upward and down until it connects with your planning dot on the right. And if you needed to change your line, it's really not a mistake. It's just, an edit. So you can always erase. That's why it's nice. We're starting with our pencil first. All right. And then the next shape I see is from that planning dot curving up towards the left and down. And this can be a sketch. You can do it pretty loose first and then go back over with your Sharpie later on to really make it nice and defined. Okay. All right, and now we can start to do his cheeks. So on the right side, you can go ahead and do the cheeks from that first planning dot, curving around. So we have a little bit of a black border here just on the right side. And then we have his chin. We'll squeeze that in. So you're going to do a curved line, curving from the right, curving down towards the bottom of the paper, and up on the left. Okay, and then lastly, we're going to do this curved line for his cheek on the left side. So just go ahead and curve it out towards the left and come back around. Okay, so we have his head, and now we have the shape for his face, the white part. The next thing we're going to do is this oval shape. So an oval is basically a smushed circle, and this is right in between, in the middle of his face. So you can go ahead and do an oval shape here. And a lot of the Disney characters have very simple shapes that make up their face. So we have that circular. I see a curved line just above his nose. And notice how lightly I'm pressing down. It's a very light sketch. Okay. And then we can do his eyes. So there's a little bit of space in between his eyes. So I want you to just go from your planning dot up here and then drag your pencil down. You don't need to do a line. You can just lift it, drag it down, put a little mark. So that's right in the middle. Now we want to leave a little bit of space to the left and the right of there. So I'm going to go from that planning dot, hop over to the left, put a little dash, go back to your planning dot, hop over to the right, put a little mark. So those are the inner corners of the eyes. And then I also want to decide on the left side and the right side. Look at the space between the left and the right side of the eyes. Okay. So those right now are going to be these 4 little lines right there. And now we can go ahead and create the planning dot for the top of the eyes. So this eye on the left is much taller than the one on the right. So I want to start out by looking at the space in between this planning dot, this little dip here, and the eye. Right about there. So I can put a little mark. And then from here, you can grab your ruler, you can eyeball it, but for now, since we have our ruler as a tool, you can grab your ruler and see it's another really sharp diagonal. So you're going from that planning dot, going down towards the bottom right at a sharp diagonal. And so it's always useful to use your planning dots so that you kind of know the direction where you're going. So from here, I'm going to curve over towards the left. And then curve around. So that is one big curve line for one eye. Same thing on the other side. You can either start from the bottom left, connect at the top middle, and then go down to the right, or I like to start in the middle, curve down towards the left, and curve down towards the right. Okay, so we have the whites of the eyes carved out, and then you're just going to do a curved line on the left side of each eye for the pupil, so that's that black part of the eye. Okay. Now the next thing we want to do is his sweet smile. So I want you to look at the negative space, so the space between his cheek and his smile line. Then you can do a curved line. Same thing on the right side. Look at this space from the cheek to that smile line. And now you can connect those lines with a curved line. If you want, you can put a planting dot, so look at the space between the nose and the mouth. Put a little planting dot. And that's going to be the top curve line. So you're going to go from here, curving down towards the middle, and then up on the right. And he does have his mouth open a little bit, so I want you to try to find the areas where these meet. So it's just above the chin. You can put a planting dot. So on both sides. This one's just a little over to the right. And then once again, you can look at this negative space. So there's a little bit of space from the bottom of the chin to the mouth. Okay, and now you can connect those with a curved line. Okay. Next we want to do his tongue. So the tongue, it's going to go from the left here, go curve towards the middle, and then leave a little bit of space from the end of that line. You hop up, and then you're going to curve over to the right. So pretty simple shape for the tongue. So once you're done with that, that is the main shapes to create Mickey Mouse. So now I'm going to go in with my Sharpie. I'm just going to start to outline all of the areas that I've created. And this is also where, you know, if you have sketch marks, you can go over them and erase it afterwards. And if you are using a Sharpie, it is a good idea. I'm just going to slide something underneath my paper just to protect the table. There we go. So for this part, you can freehand it if you'd like. You could practice your drawing skills freehand. If you wanted to, you could use, put your stencil back over and try to outline it. Just be careful if you're using a permanent marker. You don't want to get that on your cups and your bowls. But we are going to outline this for a few minutes, and then we'll check back together and start to create some of those cool patterns in the background. Alright, so if you are getting close to finished with outlining the pencil marks we have, then there are a few areas we do want to color in. So when you're looking at my line drawing versus the colored one here, you can play a little, I Spy game. So the first area I see is the pupils need to be filled in. The nice thing is if you have a thick tip, this is a thick Sharpie, or even if you have your black marker, you can use the flat side of it to fill it in pretty quickly. So I'm just going to use the flat side of my pen, and then I can fill in those pupils. So that already really brings our character to life. The next step you're going to do is fill in the oval shape for the nose. So you can use the same technique, rather than doing these scribbles to fill it in, you can use the flat side of your marker and do really thick bold lines to be able to cover up the nose. Another area that is filled in is the inside of the mouth, above the tongue. So this little space right here, you can fill that in nice and black. And then for his ears and his head, that's where we're going to come in with our ruler to create some of the patterns here. So you can go ahead and grab your ruler. The first line starts at the corner of the ear, so where the ear attaches to the head, and that's going to be a straight horizontal line. So I'm going to line up my ruler, and I'm going to do a straight line from the edge of the paper going in till it touches the corner of the ear. So that splits up the space. We have the bottom half, which is black, and then the top half, which has these stripes. The stripes are called diagonal lines. So the first shape I see is this red triangle. So you can go ahead and put your ruler down at a diagonal to create this triangular shape. Press down. You want to use a lot of pressure when you're using your ruler so it doesn't move back and forth on you. And then you can go ahead and add this line. If you don't have a ruler, you can also just use the side of a paper. That will work just fine too. Now I'm going to slide my ruler over, leave some space, and then I can go ahead and do my next diagonal line from the top left to the bottom right. And you're going to want to stop when you touch this black line. If you go over it a little bit, that's no problem because we're going to fill that in anyways. So I'm just going to keep sliding my ruler over to create these striped patterns. And I'm going to do one more, just a little sliver for the edge of the yellow there. Okay, so we have these striped patterns that you'll be able to color in. You can follow it if you want to do red, yellow, red, yellow, red, yellow, or whatever color scheme you'd like. For the left side of the head, we have another diagonal line that's coming in from the top left up here. It's touching right at the corner of the ear and then ending at the edge of his face. So I want you to just go ahead and put your ruler down just to the right of the corner of the paper. Let's see, it's diagonal right here. Okay. And you can do your diagonal straight line. So again, that's starting at the top left corner of the paper, touching at the corner of the ear, and then ending when you get to the side of the face. So everything to the right of that is going to be black, and everything to the left is this polka dot pattern. For this polka dot pattern, you can freehand it. You can just go ahead and start by doing these curved lines. And then just continue doing curved lines, curving around and filling in this area with a polka dot pattern. All right. So the last bit of pattern that we see on his face is actually in his tongue. He has another diagonal striped pattern. So you can use your ruler again if you'd like. So you're just going to go at a diagonal the opposite way. So we went from the top left to the bottom right. And now we can go ahead and switch it from the top right to the bottom left. You can also freehand this if you want to, but it's nice to see how you can utilize your tools to be able to do different types of techniques. Okay, so that is it for Mickey's face. So before we go into the background, so we don't get confused with all of the line work and the patterns we're creating, I'm going to start to add some color. So I'm just going to go off of the original here, so if you would like to follow along with me, that's great. If you want to go ahead and create your own color scheme, that's fine too. You can think about the colors we created with our color star last week. So I'm going to start with the one on the left. So that's going to be the blues, the cooler colors. So the polka dots are going to be light blue, and then the background is a dark blue. So I'm going to start out with the lighter blue and just go ahead and fill in your semicircles. So semicircles are part of a circle. And then when you're ready, you can go into your deeper blue. So this is that dark blue, that ultramarine blue that we learned about last week with our color star. For this one I chose markers just because markers create a really nice flat surface, and his paintings tend to be super flat, kind of the opposite of our artist last week, Matisse. So yeah, just using the flat side of the marker can create a lot of nice color in our piece. Okay, so I've finished with the blue section, and now I'm going to go on to the other ear where I have the diagonal striped pattern. So the pattern goes red, yellow, red, yellow. So I'm going to start with my yellow. So you can skip this little triangular shape, and then you can use the flat side and create your yellow. So you can do a stripe of yellow and then just skip it. And then you can go into your red. So a lot of Romero Britto's artwork is very childlike. It has very rainbow, bright colors, very saturated colors, vibrant, and that's just because he loves, you know, creating work that makes people happy and brings joy. And so a huge thing for him is just thinking about his childhood, and so that's why a lot of his work looks like something you would see in you know, children's amusement parks like Disneyland or Legoland, a lot of similar color schemes. So for the tongue, it is going to be a pink color scheme. So it's going to be this light pink. I have a hot pink, and a fuchsia. So you can start with one color, skip the next stripe, and then go to the next section. Okay, great. So the rest of the area will be black, and we're going to skip that just because I definitely want to get into the patterns in the background, and then, you know, at the end you guys will be able to have some time to do the black of his ears and around his face. So for the next part, we are going to be creating frames. So frames are, you know, like picture frames where you put photographs inside, and they're usually inside like a wooden or metal box, rectangle, different shapes. Some are square, rectangle, oval, but basically what we're creating is a frame for different sections. So you can start out with your Sharpie or your black pen and your ruler. So the first line I'm going to do is this vertical straight line. So vertical is tall. So I want you to just line up the right side of your ruler with the right side of your paper. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to create a really strong, bold line that's going from the top of the paper. Now, since I'm using this thick Sharpie, I'm going to use the flat side so I can get a really thick line. When you're doing your line, I want you to stop once you touch a line. So I've touched the side of the ear. I'm going to lift my pen, drag it down until I see some more white of the paper, and then I can just continue all the way to the bottom of the paper. So you don't want to cut off Mickey's ear, you just want to create a background. So Mickey is in the front, and then we have our pattern in the back. All right, awesome. So the next section I see is a horizontal line on the right side, and you can see it also creates the letter T. So just above the corner of his face here, I'm going to place my my ruler. Okay, you want to try to make it straight, and you can use the flat side of your pen again. So from the right side of the paper going in until it touches the side of his head. That is going to create my next shape, so it's this T shape. And then the last one I have of this very bold line is this diagonal straight line. So you're going to leave a little bit of space, so look at the negative space between this line and the next line, and you can just put a little mark. And this is going to be a diagonal straight line. It's pretty much going to the top left of his head. Just put your ruler down. Starting from the top of the paper until it touches the top of his head. And then you can lift. So you should have these nice, thick, bold lines against the background, and then you can go in and create some of these patterns. So there's some more polka dots. So you can use the tip of the marker to get a bit of a thin line. You could also use, if you have, you know, like a bottle cap or a quarter, you know, you can use that to create the stencil, but for now I'm just going to be freehanding it. And you don't have to put them in the exact same spot as mine, I'm just going off of the original. So this top right corner has the polka dot, and then we go over and it's mirrored into the bottom left. So I'm going to do some more semicircles here. All right. The next ones, these two are just solid colors, so that is just going to be filled in later. And then right here in this little triangle is just some squiggle marks, and that actually, yeah, that you can use the tip and basically just do like little squiggles. So this can be super free and kind of loose. Okay. And then the last section we have that's green back here is again our diagonal stripes. So for these are going the opposite way. So we have these ones going in this direction, and now we're going to go the opposite direction. So I'm going to start with my ruler and just start to lay in some stripes. So I'm going to do one from the side here, touching the ear, and then it goes behind the ear. So I want you to lift up your pen, go behind the ear, and then continue it off the side of the paper. Then you can do another one. And that one pretty much ends there. And then maybe just one more. So again, you can add as many designs. You can even come up with your own patterns if you like. To create more of a fun kind of design. Oh, and then down here we actually have a bit of his shoulder. See right there, the black part. So just to the left of the chin here, I'm actually going to chop this off, and this is all going to be filled in. Looks like he has a little bit of red at the bottom corner there, but the rest of this is going to be filled in with my marker to create his shoulders. So from here, I'm going to let you guys just start to color in the backgrounds, choose the colors you'd like. You can think about colors that you love together. Sometimes I like to get a little scrap paper and test out colors. So this is called making a color swatch. So maybe I want orange, but I'm not sure what color looks good with orange, so I can test out a few, maybe orange and hot pink, orange and blue. And this is again what we learned last week with color theory, just seeing how different the orange will look next to different colors. So I'm just going to keep filling in my background, and we can take our time creating our beautiful patterns for this piece, and you can just let me know if you have any questions in terms of creating different patterns too. Alright, so I am just finishing up with the entire background. And the last step I need to do is just fill in the rest of the ears. So this top part here going around the edge of the face, and then the other side of the ear. And I definitely recommend putting a scrap paper behind your piece. That way, you know, you can just let your marker go off the side, and then you don't have to worry about slowing down when you get to the edge. That way you can go quickly, high energy, and also you can protect your table. I think it's so fun just seeing all the different Disney characters. I think for anyone who's spent time in Disneyland, it makes you really nostalgic to when you were little. And so I think the great thing as artists, we have the ability to, you know, create characters like this, like our character design class we did, and cartoons and emotions that really like bring joy to people and make them happy and make them think of great memories they had as children. So that is it for today, and I look forward to seeing what kind of patterns and designs you guys created, the colors you chose for your backgrounds, and thanks for joining me in making this fun Mickey Mouse drawing today.